Hey guys, it's Becca, and welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another speed build. So today I am doing the Cottage Shell Challenge, and this is a challenge posted by the Blooming Sim on YouTube. And I will put a link to their video in my description because they posted a speed build of them building the challenge. So basically they just built the shell of a cottage, and the challenge is to go in and decorate it. And I really enjoyed this, and I was really excited to see this because I have been wanting to do a cottage build recently, but I have had the hardest time coming up with the design of it. So I've started to build more than one cottage, gotten really frustrated with how the outside looked, and then scrapped it. So I was really excited to see this challenge because now I don't have to build the outside of the cottage, I just get to decorate it. And I think that the cottage is so cute on the outside, and I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I had a really good time decorating this. So anyway, this cottage was inspired by sunflowers. I found some really neat sunflower paintings on the Sims 4 gallery, and I wanted to build a cottage that had a lot of sunflowers around it and was very blue and yellow and just, like I said, inspired by sunflowers. So anyway, this is what that cottage is. I am finishing up just putting in the windows right now. As you can see, I already put in the floor plan. It's a very simple house. It's pretty small, so it just has one bedroom and one bathroom, but there can be two Sims that live here. I fit a full-size bed into the bedroom, and I playtested this whole build, and so everything works. Your Sims can get to both sides of the bed, and two Sims could comfortably live here. But anyway, this build is, I don't even know what the style is. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's a weird style, but like I said, I don't really have an idea of the Sim who lives here, except perhaps that they're a painter. But the house, it doesn't have a TV, it doesn't have a computer, but it's not off the grid. Like, I mean, it has electricity, it has lights, and then it's got a fridge and a stove. So it's not off the grid, but it's probably for someone who doesn't necessarily they don't spend their time watching TV or anything like that. So you could really easily buy a laptop and have that in your Sims inventory, and then they could use the laptop at the table. But I imagine that maybe the person who lives here is a painter who spends a lot of their time painting. They spend a lot of time outside in the backyard, or going around the world, and maybe they work a lot, and so they spend a lot of time working at a gallery, and they just have this simple little house for them to live in when they come back. Or, I think the other thing that could work really well here would be like an older couple, or an elder single Sim who enjoy they're not really big into watching TV. They just like spending time outside or painting or gardening, and it's just a pretty simple lifestyle for them. So perhaps that's who lives here. I'm not sure, but anyway, just decorating the bathroom here. It's very simple, just a sink and a toilet and a shower, and we just went for a pretty simple floor. I don't use this wallpaper hardly ever because it's usually more too fancy for what I'm looking for, but I feel like even though it's kind of fancy, it had the wood tones that I really liked. I just thought that the wood went really well with this style of house. So anyway, and then I'm putting down just a few decorations in the kitchen. It's not a super cluttered kitchen, but it's got a few things. And I confess, I've had The Sims for 5 years since they released it, and I did not know that you could recolor that little T display. And I just discovered that this past week, and I don't know. It's one of those things where like The Sims, you feel like you know what you're doing because you've played it for a long time, and then you discover that there's things that just you didn't know, or you rediscover, you watch somebody else's build and you go, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that I could do that. And I love learning new things, but sometimes I feel kind of silly if I do things like that where I'm like, oh, I should know this. But I'm trying to figure out the furniture for the living room here, and I really struggled to pick what kind of love seat I wanted. I really wanted the ones with pillows because I like how they look with the pillows on them, but I couldn't find one that had the right shades of yellow and blue that I was looking for. And so in the end, I just went with these basic ones from Get Together, and I just picked them in this cream color, and I think it turned out pretty well. And there's plenty of accents of color with the rugs, and then lots of sunflower, the art and flowers around. And I should also mention that when I made this build, I used only items from the base game and Get Together, but it does have the two arches in the front. The stone arch is from Jungle Adventure, and then the curved arch over the front door is from Cats and Dogs. And those were on the build already, and I really like how they look, so I just left them there. But I decided to challenge myself and use items from just Get to Work and base game. And the reason that I decided to do that is because this house, I built it in Windenburg. It's in the countryside of Windenburg. I actually built it on the lot where the Shrieking Llama bar is, because this is a 20 by 20 lot, and that was a 20 by 20 lot that I decided to build on. So you could obviously place it wherever you wanted on a 20 by 20 or bigger lot, but that was where I ended up building it. So going into the bedroom, and I'm using this bed. And speaking of things that you learn as you go along with The Sims, that bed that with the sunflowers on it, I hardly ever use that bed because it's one that is unlocked from I think it's the painting career. It's one of the two tracks in the painting career, but it's unlocked to that. And a lot of the time when I'm placing beds like that, it's in the middle of gameplay, and so my Sims don't play that track, and so they don't unlock the bed. And so I just always saw it in just its plain red swatch, which is the swatch that you see in the catalog. And so I skip over that so many times, but I saw somebody make a build a few months ago, and I don't remember who it was, but they used the other swatch, not the sunflower one, but the I think it's the Van Gogh Starry Night swatch, and that was the first time I realized that was more than just a solid color swatch. And so but there's the swatch that has the sunflowers on it, which is perfect for this sunflower cottage that I'm building here. And at this point, I'm just trying to decorate the dresser and using items just from base game and Get Together. I really struggled to find clutter to put on top of the dresser, and so I searched and searched and searched, trying to figure things out. And in the end, I just went back and I just had just the books and then one plant on top of the dresser. But I thought that just looked kind of cozy, and the person had more books than fit in their bookcase, and so they put them on here. And then adding in blinds here, and I love the fact that we can resize objects in this game, where you can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, because using these blinds, it just works so well to get things to fit the windows that you want. And so I was able to put the same blinds all the way throughout the house just because I was able to size them up and size them down. So anyway, and then at this point I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in the kitchen. So you notice I tried doing the stone wall earlier for the backsplash, and I didn't like how it looked, and so I left it alone, and then I went back. But here in a minute, after I finish placing these rugs, I go ahead and I start getting artwork for the wall. And I used this I changed the color in here to yellow just because I felt like it worked better with the sunflowers. But at this point, I'm looking for more artwork, and so there is a way to get really neat, unique artwork in your house without using custom content. And if you go onto the Sims 4 gallery and you just search for whatever you're looking for, or you can even search for, like, you can type in paintings. For this one, I typed in sunflowers, and it gets you different art that people have created and put on the gallery in rooms, and so you can take them and you can place them in your build. So as you can see, I used these little pieces or these square art, and they look like little tiles, and I thought that they were so cute with the sunflowers, and so it just worked like a perfect little sunflower inspired tile backsplash. And I know it was kind of hard to see, but I spent a lot of time trying to take care of that, and it would have taken so long to watch, and it was back and forth and back and forth, and so I ended up cutting out most of that footage just because I didn't think that you guys needed to watch 2 minutes of me going back and forth putting up all the tiles, but I did leave the end, like the last row, on there for you. But anyway, that is a really neat trick for getting artwork, and that was actually what inspired this build initially when I wanted to do a sunflower build, because I was looking at different paintings in the gallery, and they had these I found the sunflower ones, and I was like, I want to make a build that has those in there. And anyway, so I'm really excited that I finally get to do that. And here I'm just adding some ivy onto the chimney, which I think looks really realistic, and just gives it a little bit more of a rustic, homey look, I think, having ivy growing on the cottage, because it's like, this house has been here a while, it just kind of blends in with its surroundings, and it's got some ivy growing on there and just gives it a pretty little pop of green, I think. And here I'm doing some window boxes for flowers, and I ended up going in and using some debug items to place in there, because there's some really nice debug objects that I felt like fit perfectly inside of here. Just sizing them down and they fit perfectly, and then I added in lots and lots of sunflowers, which is where I figured the person who named this probably calls it Sunflower Cottage because of the outside sunflowers, and then they just brought all of their sunflowery stuff inside with them as well. So, and then I'm putting this here. You'll notice in the screenshots that this fence is not in the build. I ended up using this one, the picket fence, but I never went back inside after I finished this build, or after I finished the exterior, and I didn't notice, but this fence was so long it was sticking into the hallway on the inside, and so I ended up, when I went through and took my screenshots and play tested it to make sure everything works, I realized that I had to, that it was sticking into the hallway, and so I removed it and put in a different fence that fits better inside the arches there. So anyway, I'm getting pretty close to the end of the sunflowers, and then I'm just gonna add in some landscaping. So anyway, like I said, I will have this build up on my gallery when I'm done, and I will make sure to, like I said, I'll make sure to post a link to the Blooming Sims YouTube page where the build is, and I will also, in the description, I'll put the names of the people on the gallery whose paintings I used. So if you want to go and find those same paintings, you can do that too. And here I'm just picking out different flowers, and I was going for more of a yellow and orange look, and then I ended up changing it and getting a little bit of blue and yellow and then some orange, which I thought just tied in nicely with the blue siding and the yellow and orange sunflowers. So I'm just putting in a few trees, and then putting in a mailbox, which I'm surprised at because half the time I forget to put mailboxes on my builds, and then just putting a few flowers around the mailbox. So just doing the landscaping, and it's pretty much the same kind of thing as it was around, and then just putting some dirt around the path. And I'm realizing now that I forgot to put flooring on the little inside of the door between the archway and the door, so I will try to remember to go back and fix that before I upload it to the gallery, but if not, you guys can do that. It's not a big deal. So just putting in some more flowers, and I have really enjoyed using these debug items. So a lot of the times, some of the items that are in the debug menu are slightly different colors than items that we have in the regular build catalog. And so I used those tall bushes. They have them in like the regular build catalog, but it's like a bright green color, and I ended up using the ones from the debug menu because that has and it's a little bit darker, and I felt like it fit a little bit better with the build. So, and here I'm just working on the backyard and just changing up the fence on the back to one from Get to Work. It's just a little bit fancier, and then trying to figure out if I want a gate, and I decided not to, and I put in a fence, and then I ended up putting in the arch as well. And then I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do on this hill back here. And at first I was going to just landscape it, but the only thing with having different layers or different levels of terrain is sometimes the plants float, and I couldn't figure out how to get it. So I ended up deciding to just gravel it out, and I put the barbecue grill back here, and then I put a little picnic table in the backyard, and then I did end up putting in some plants back here, but they were flatter, so they worked a little bit better on the terrain there. But at this point, I'm pretty much done with the build. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this challenge, and like I said, I will post a link to the Blooming Sims challenge on YouTube in the description, and I will also put the names of the people whose artwork I used on the Sims 4 gallery. I'll put their gallery IDs in the description as well. But if you enjoyed watching this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and feel free to comment if you would like. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, go ahead and hit subscribe as well. And I will have this build up on the gallery, and remember, my user ID on the gallery is BekahSue. But anyway, thanks so much for watching this, guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!